kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, but I don't wanna jinx it, baby. Let's not get ahead of my time. Oh, but I don't wanna miss you, baby. So I stand up and speak just my mind. Oh. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're chilling wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're channeling wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight.
What's up, everybody? How are y'all doing today? My, oh my, it's been some time, but now that time is done. So what are we gonna do today? We're gonna learn and have some fun. But before we get to Jerome Powell and what he says, I pose to you a Q&A to see what you says. So this is your time to fire up the questions, hang out. Dude, everything is open right now because there is so much to talk about. Uh-oh, Klaus has got his Twitter feed up. That's not good. We've got CPI data that we're going to review. We're also going to be reviewing some United States inflation rate. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold up, everyone. Hold on. Hold on. Stop the presses. UK inflation rate. Oh, girlfriend. Yes, with the majority of you being from the United States and the UK, I thought I would kind of tie this in with UK news as well because this affects you. Let's get even juicier. XRP price action. Hey, rebounding from the 5% pullback of the Chris Larson hack. No, Ripple wasn't hacked. It was Chris Larson. A lot of bad stuff's been happening lately. Just throwing it out there. This is just timing. XLM, Sorban, no launcho, not happening. Plugged it in, nothing happened. 11.1 cents. Jerome Powell's going to be on the mic at 2:30. The announcement is at 2. As per usual, the Fed has not even updated their YouTube page, nor has the Fed uploaded anything from here. So that's okay. That's okay. Got your back. Hello to my Canadian viewers out there. Whoa, whoa, Klaus, what are you showing on your screen? This is the Bank of England's official rates. Oh, yes. Top of the morning to y'all, because I just tipped my cap to my UK fans. What's up, Trick? How are you doing, my guy? Got a backup feed here just in case. And the odds for what's going to happen today, along with what everyone... Oh, it only gets juicier. Come on, move away, stupid window. May contract. Ooh, 2 quarter-point hits. Ooh, March contract, 1 quarter-point hit. Come on now, everyone. March contract seems to be where the juice is right now. People are looking to play March contract. The date is the 20th of March. The May contract has two quarter-point hits priced in with a 45% chance, essentially 1 and 2 Vegas odds, I put that in quotes, of us getting 2 hits. You're looking, okay, if you look at a combined 2 basis point hit plus the combined odds of a single, you're looking at 91% chance. 91% chance that in May, in May we're going to be getting at least one. So the odds go from, in the March contract, 43% chance to the May contract being 91% chance. So, dude, I think I feel good about this because I think we can all agree that macroeconomics are essential. The Bank of England's official rates, right? Check it out. When was crypto going boom, ladies and gents? Anyone want to give a guess? When was crypto going boom? Oh, it's when Fed fund rates were super low. Look at Bank of England rates were low. Why? Rona. Look at that. So when money was cheap during the Rona and interest rates were cheap, wait a minute, girlfriend. Are you trying to tell me that the same thing is true with the United States Fed fund rate? Yeah, during that time, money was cheap. When money is cheap, money printer can go burr. When money printer goes burr, risky assets like this can make you a lot of money. Money printer goes burr when these numbers here that you see on the screen start going lower and lower and lower. Why? Because the lower the funding rates, the cheaper it is to play in the risky pool. So now if you jump even further to December of this year, yeah, we're talking December contract. You want to have some fun? Look at this. December contract is calling for about a 40% chance that you're going to get about six reductions this year. I mean, guys, look, this is light at the end of the tunnel. When you could start projecting a curve this far out and it makes sense. Now, I would tend to maybe not be as optimistic with this, mainly because I think you're going to still struggle with housing this year. I think housing, because supply being up, is just going to keep the mess going. Trick's hanging out with this saying, living the dream, Klaus. Yes, sir, living the dream. I just got done working out right before I went live. I have 3 sessions to do today. I did 4 total sessions yesterday. I did a tempo 5K of hills right before I came online here. So that's why I was getting my sugars up. My ears are still ringing because holy crap, I was pushing it. And then later, I've got a recovery run, and then I've got a lower body lifting session, and then possibly mobility late. But, such is life, man. I'll be okay. Cryptocurrency Bob says, I'm late to the party. What happened? Nothing yet, kind sir. We're just doing a Q&A, hanging out. If you've got questions, I hopefully have answers. At 2 p.m., okay, you're going to get the interest rate decision, okay, which most likely is going to be a pause. That is happening 24 minutes from now. In 54 minutes, Jerome Powell is going to come on the mic, and you know what he's going to do? He's going to show us this. Little. Huh? What do you think? Right? All right, check it out. Little, look, Jerome Powell, he's telling you, little, pequeño or pequeña, if he's describing something that's femininely translated in Spanish. Pequeña, pequeño if it's male. Just trying to make sure that I'm covering all my bases here. Love my fans. So yeah, the market right now is going to look like this, okay? I don't expect any big flashes. I don't expect anything to move big. I honestly think that now the crypto market is much more in sync with monetary flow because a lot of money is dried up. And even dev money is dried up. A lot of devs are complaining, man. A lot of devs are complaining now that they're just not getting paid, that the monetary rewards in these projects aren't worth it because there's just no juice, So when the devs start complaining about money, that pretty much tells you like that venture capital well is really drying up. So Global Investment says, Klaus, please put 1080 HD on. I have no idea what my settings. Yeah, 1080 is on my small camera on the bottom left. That should be on 1080 for sure. But yeah, so that's the deal. Kay says, hey Klaus, what's your general view on ICP? ICP seems to be, I guess, a lot less in Drama Town. In terms of what they can do with the product, I mean, again, great product. There's a lot of great products out there. And when I say product, I mean capability of the products that can be used off there. ICP, I think, still has plenty more room to go. I think ICP's move was a lot of people sliding in, seeing the potential of it. And I think that was kind of wave 1 of the rebound, right? ICP definitely rebounded better than the majority of the market. In fact, if we look at it here, let's just zoom in just so we can put that up on the screen real quick for you. And if you got questions, feel free, ask anything. I'm down. Okay, so price, check it out, right? I mean, that's pretty healthy. Let's just blow it out to the year. The move that it made, come on now. Don't be lame. Don't be lame. Don't be lame. I don't want to deal with this today. Oh, come on now. Are that many people using this? There we go. I just had it. Hold on. Let me get back to that. All right. So let's just go with ICP. Let's go 6 month. Yeah, they're really not having issues with that. So let's go to this one. Here we go. I'm going to go to this one, and we're going to go to ICP. Just essentially saying that it made its big rebound. Let me zoom in a little bit here. Honestly, I still think it's fairly undervalued. Best way to put it. Jeremy Touche says, love the channel. Hit the button. Everyone give Jeremy a big thank you. Yeah, one of the other things with ICP is leadership seems to be pretty legit. I just gotta watch what I say. And thank you, thank you, Jeremy, very much. You can tell, like, I just got running, like I still haven't cooled down yet. Part of what crypto is that's a little bit different than all these other investments and financial tools out there is that there's so much more of like a social aspect to it, rather than you would see of stocks, rather than you would see of real estate. I mean, like, do you ever hear of like people fudding real estate like you hear of crypto? Do you ever hear of as much drama in the oil markets, or like, do you ever hear like gold markets, or like, oh yeah, gold's going to the moon because we're gonna, like, you don't hear like all this weird stuff in all these other markets, and that's what makes this crypto business dynamic just so different and so unique. And I like to say that anyone out there that claims themselves an expert in the crypto space is not an expert, because crypto is always evolving. And what we know crypto now, what we know Web3 now, is way different than it was a year ago. It was way different than it was 3-4 years ago. So, claiming to be an expert, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say negatory. I mean, because it's so different. I mean, it is. It's just a different marketplace. And this is something that I think people have to understand, that part of what your investment risk is when you buy some of these, tokens and coins, is part of it is socially, right? What if leadership is a bunch of morons? What if the leadership's out there, they're doing all these dumb riddles and stuff like that, and people are like, yo, can you just shut up and just give us like good, juicy data? Can you tell us some operational data? Can you give us this, like, and you're getting, I guess, a very different cultural aspect out there where like the social atmosphere is really tying in heavily investment. So it's not just operationally and financially how these companies are doing. Even if a company is doing good financially, if socially they're just a mess, like, on their social attraction, they're kind of effed now, aren't they, in crypto? I mean, I think they're so tied together. Colin Hughes says, hey Klaus, what effect do you think John Deaton and Zakanoff will have on the Ethereum spot ETF when they trigger the lawsuit on Vitalik? I don't think it's going to stop the process. I think the ETH ETF, and don't quote me on this because I swear I thought it was like a high 50% chance, and this was recent, like a high 50% chance in the March review period. That's still not good odds. That's still really close to 1 and 2, right? So I think there might be a little bit more time for that. Trudukel says, what's up, Brother Klaus? I only watch Uncle Rome's reports on your channel. Thanks for covering. You got it, man. Got your back. Definitely going to cover what Jerome says. The announcement is in 18 minutes, so now's your time to ask questions. Defense got a question. Says, will Jerome say the banks are stable and solid today with bank failures happening today? Yes. What Jerome Powell is going to say in one of his leading statements, and you're going to see it on here, okay? That's why I leave all this information for you, okay? Like the statements, the PDFs, the all this stuff here. You can read all that, what his opening statements are before he gives them. And he literally will talk about we believe banks are like cash strong. They've got plenty in reserves, blah, blah, blah. They're not overextended. And he's going to talk about how like economic factors are tightening credit and lending standards, which is doing natural constriction of the economy where Fed fund rates don't have to do any more because there's a laggard effect. I'm telling you right now, you're going to hear that. Braden33 says, what do you expect from XRP today? I mean, I would say more of the same. Don't think the market is going to frickin' like pound it and just be amazing today. it's not right now that we're going to be big on. What we're going to be big on is the March contract. I'm telling. Okay, so there's no contract. Just so everyone knows, there's no contract. Okay, in February, we go to March. Okay, March contract. I mean, we're close, guys. We're really close that we're going to get at least a quarter down in March. May is like, dude, we are like really calling for it. So we're here. We're getting close. And I think that's the thing, Braden. We're not expecting big booms now because I don't think anyone's really gonna. The Fed's not gonna tip their cap. All right? The Fed's not gonna come out and say, hey, next meeting, we're lowering rates. They're just gonna do it on us. And when they do it on us, you're gonna see the market move to the positive. Why? Because that means things are starting to lighten up. That means now it's just a smidge more affordable for businesses, people, development teams, crypto companies, firms, exchanges, custody agents, and all that to start building again. And building for a little bit cheaper cost. Messi Leo says, hit the like. Rock on, man. Rock on. Simone Spencer, oh my God. Simone, what's up, my gal? Simone says, hey, Klaus. Evergrande Contagion this year. Simone, I didn't want to do hot potato. Simone, no. Oh, you're too smart. You are too smart for your own good. I'm wondering if the mainland will crack down on the fraudsters. Okay, okay, let's do that. We're gonna talk about Evergrande, and then I'm gonna highlight Jeremy's comment because I just saw this. I'm just gonna pin Jeremy's real quick, okay? I'm gonna pin that. I'm gonna get to Simone's first. Simone says Evergrande, all right? Evergrande. Here's the deal. It's going to take time. Why is it going to take time? Because think of the bankruptcy courts and how long it takes for that to follow through. Celsius we're dealing with right now, and that is technically, it was in June, so 19 months, okay? 19 months ago, we started dealing with Celsius bankruptcy. And so just, like now the market is digesting actually the liquidation of those assets. FTX is at about a yearish, 13 and a half months, something like that. So FTX is kind of early in their process. Your Three Arrows, your Babel, there's a ton of them, guys and gals. There's a ton of them out there. And it's not just that, it's minor bankruptcies too. So these bankruptcies take a long, long time. This year, will we see Evergrande stuff? That might be early. You might be early thinking you're going to see Evergrande ripple effects this year. I could most likely see it in 2025. 2025. All right? That's when I'm keeping my eyes and ears open. Now, before that, we have to ask ourselves, Simone, is the data we're going to get from credit debt ratios, right? Assets, liabilities. How many are we going to be able to trust that information? And the bigger effect is once that ripple effect of some of those quote payments, right? Once they get into the bankruptcy, they're in protection, and then we start finding out what the liquidators get. Once those payments then are finally issued or issued the statements of how much they're making, then that hot potato starts on our side of the border. Then once it's on our side of the border, it's like, okay, your Caterpillars, your big manufacturers, your Grangers and all them were tied into construction. Think of anything construction and housing. Now you're going to have a bubble of them not getting their money. Okay, so now the Grangers, the suppliers that get all their hardware, nuts and bolts and wood and all that, they're not going to get their money too. So you're going to see that. Look at 2025, Simone. All right, let's get to Jeremy's question here. Jeremy is, hey, Klaus, what is your personal strategy on XRP? All right, personally, I think XRP is, here's a good way to put it. Short term, man. I'm gonna be honest, and I've been honest with everyone. It's short term plays, dude. You can play it short term because, man, there's just so much junk around it, and it's pre-mined. That's the big problem that a lot of people are having. It's pre-mined, and the more that we peel back the layer of the onions, the less we're liking what we see. Does XRP as a technology have amazing potential? Oh my gosh, yes it does. But what if it's not being supported and utilized by the right people? What if it would be better served in other hands? Right? I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. we all know that XLM, XRP, they can move money real cheap, right? We know it's easy to tokenize stuff. We know it's easy to mint NFTs. We know that you can move USDC super cheap on Stellar Chain. That's not the issue. No one is arguing that the technology sucks, because the technology is freaking cool. I think it's the people that are involved around it that a lot of us are like, what are you doing? Like, dude, you've been doing this for how many years, and you're telling us this and this and this and this, and what is it coming in? What is coming in? And so, when it comes to the strategy of what, you can do with XRP, remember, it's pre-mined. All right? Who ultimately makes money? Anyone can argue this point with me all they want. Who ultimately makes money off of XRP? Ripple. Everyone else has a chance to make money from XRP. Anyone that bought XRP as primary, guess what? They now have to hope to unload it on the secondary market for more, or else guess what? Their investment is worth less. That's not good. That's not good odds. There's a phrase, and Jeremy, this kind of goes into strategy, right? This is why I like the short-term action, right? There's a phrase that I like to use. This is the people in crypto that make money are selling picks and shovels. Ripple is selling picks and shovels. Ledger is selling picks and shovels. BitBoy Crypto is selling picks and shovels. Hardware wallets are selling picks and shovels. And that whole idea of picks and shovels is very, very... It's like a gold rush. It's like a gold rush. Right? Who made money in California on the gold rush? It was the people selling picks and shovels. Yeah, there were people that struck gold. You're right. There were plenty of people that struck gold, and there's plenty of people that are going to strike gold in crypto. But it's not the odds that people are portraying it. Just like with the whole gold rush discovery. And the reason everyone knows I'm big into gold, but I'm also big into history. I'm actually really, really big into history. I'm freaking huge into history. I love history. Part of the reason why the gold rush was so successful, because the only thing the newspapers ever published was stories of people holding big goblets. Hold on. My cup hath runneth over. All they did was this. They showed big goblets of gold, big chunks of silver, big plates of this stuff, right? They didn't show for every one person that held the big goblet that they were going to have 10,000, 15,000 people broke. They don't talk about the thousands of people that literally died in the gold rush era by bridges collapsing, waterfalls, cascades breaking through on mining grounds. But all they sold was the good story. So who made the money? It was the people that supplied the picks and shovels, the people that sold the land, the people that helped with food, the people that helped, all the peripherals. It was in the miners, the people that were sold that story, just like the same people that were sold the XRP story, right? Those people that, yes, some people can make it on it. You just had to get in super early. But guess what? Most people are not going to make it. And when you have odds like that, do you want to throw life-changing sums of money at it? Or would you rather look at something where what you can do is you can come back and you can be like, you know what? What can I get? What else? What other moves can I make? And I think that's what bothers me about this. I think that the idea of prosperity, as grand as it is sold all this shit. They're not telling you the people that are getting wrecked. What crypto channels grow the fastest and biggest? The ones that promote the stupid 100, 500, melting faces. Why do those grow? Because it's all part of that dream machine. And everyone thinks that dream machine is real. Everyone thinks that dream machine is something that everyone gets. No, it is like 0.0001%. How many people... If crypto was about making money, then why the hell is everything shrinking? If crypto is about just, going to the moon and all that, why are people 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years still arguing about the same problems? Bro, wait till utility kicks in. And I'm going to say, bro, name me another business for the last 5 years that keeps saying, wait till the utility kicks in. You know what happens in real life? The creditors say, go F yourself. I'm not giving you any money anymore. Now hold up, everyone. Problem is, see, Ripple, Stellar, companies that are centralized and pre-mined hold the keys. They're guaranteed to make money. They're selling the picks and shovels. Man. Oh. So yeah, what's my strategy, dude? This is a very risky asset class. Be prepared to lose everything. There are super low odds. Can you hit and strike gold? Yes, you can. But for every one person that strikes gold, I guarantee you there's 10, 15, 20, 30, 40,000 people wrecked. Wrecked beyond belief. You know what? You know what crypto bros don't tell you? What crypto bros don't tell you? Well, suck my balls. Hey, that's not good. I don't like that. That's not good at all. Okay, so we're not going to go on that one. But what they don't tell you is all of the losses. I read a comment today, and this really bothered me. All right, this really bothered me, okay? I mean, someone sent me a message, all right? And it said that they got in at XLM, their average was 50 cents, okay? And they got in big. And I understand it because there was a lot of volume. There was a lot of hype on here. Yeah, nice glitches, huh? That's kind of crazy. Right? There was. So, story goes, dude's like, dude, I got in at 50 cents. I've spent so much money DCAing to get down to 10 cents. I'm out. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, dude, that's sad. That's 2.5 years. 2.5 years, dude, just like put money into something. And I don't like, it's cool. Dude, you could put your money into whatever you want. For 2.5 years, you could go race horses for all I care. For 2.5 years, you could go race the greyhounds at a track. I prefer you not to because they do not treat them dogs nicely. I don't like that. I like doggies. My doggie's here. Leia, sweetie. Leia, what are you doing? I got my Leia. She's sweet. She's sleeping over there. Go whatever you spend your money on 2.5 years of strip clubs. I don't care, man. I do not care. Like, I really don't care. But when you do stuff, you know what the risks are, man. Like, when you go to the strip club, you know homegirl is not going to be your girlfriend. You know that. When you go to the racetrack, you're like, okay, I probably aren't going to win today. I might, but I'm probably not. When you go to Vegas, you see the odds right there on the plaque that says you've got a 99% chance of walking out of here with less money. And you're like, okay, cool, but at least you're telling me. The odds were never portrayed fairly with crypto. And that's where I feel bad for everyone. Now, if you know the odds and you're playing it, I don't feel bad for you. Like, I don't. I feel bad, man, for people that, like, that thought this was something different, like a guarantee, you know? Because that's not fair. That's not fair to people. You know, and I get criticized, oh, bro, you're being so negative. Like, no, I'm not being negative. I mean, what is the price done over the last 2+ years? Oh, bro, you're just picking and choosing charts. How do you want me to not pick and choose this chart? How do I not go, oh, this is juicy? Or how do I not go, oh, do you know that during this time, private shareholders actually got money because they converted XRP into fiat to buy back private shares? How do I tell that story in a good way? I mean, it's messed up. It's really messed up. Von Argyle says, Klaus, did you name your dog Leia just so you could have your own Leia on a leash? Oh my god, Princess Leia on a leash, dude? Yeah. Yeah, buddy. Come on now. Actually, all my dogs are Star Wars names. Kenobi, Leia, Rey, Luke, and Vader. I've got Star Wars doggies. Jerome Powell's announcement is coming up in 2 minutes. We're going to see what it looks like here. I don't know. I mean, like crypto's cool. The tech is cool. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool stuff. It's just, they're not like, it's just the odds aren't being conveyed to people accurately. That's just what it is, man. That's just what it is. Jabba the Klaus is right, dude. You pay up or I sick my bounty hunters on you. Jabba the Klaus. Oh, yeah, hey, that was my thing. Was the Empire Strikes Back. My Empire Strikes Back video. I did one. So, I don't know. I mean, it's tough. It really is. I feel for people. Like, it's cool. You can make money. You can make money on crypto, man. You can. You trust me, you can. But you gotta be crafty, and man, you gotta be willing. And I think it's a very risky pool. I think people got better odds making money going to Vegas. Straight up being honest with everyone. Is this live? You bet your butt it's live. I'm clicking the refresh button on my screen. Probably shouldn't yet. It's not 2 p.m. The announcement for the rate decision will be coming out. SETI Set says, is this live? I'll say it yes again. Yes, it's live. Klaus Ader. Okay. As long as y'all don't call the refresh button waiting to see what the rate decision looks like here. And I'm assuming they're going to pause, which is not the big deal, but I want to see, and I want to read what they say regarding their decision. So I'm just waiting for them to load this on up, because this is going to have their notes. And this is actually going to be the first FOMC meeting of 2024. How exciting is this? Gilmore says, can we go to the moon now? Yeah, Jerome's not going to go. Okay, here we go. I've got the statement from the Fed. In support of the goals, the committee decided to maintain, taking a pause. Here we go. The committee decided to maintain. Bang, bada, boom. Let's read it. Let's read it. And hey, if you guys and gals got questions, now's the time. We've had a couple good ones. Good one from Simone and a good one from Jeremy. Thank you both. If you got questions, we got about a half hour till Jerome comes on the mic. I'm going to wait for a question to pop up on the screen, but until then, you're going to have to deal with me reading. The committee seeks to achieve maximum employment inflation at the rate of 2% over the long run. The risks of achieving its employment inflation goals are moving into better balance. Economic outlook is uncertain, and the committee remains highly attentive to inflation risks. The committee will continue to monitor the implications of upcoming information for the economic outlook, essentially saying we are not going to give you any sort of inkling on what we are going to do. Essentially, what we're looking at is March contract being where it's at, with the best chance of it being in the May contract. Now, why is this important? Well, because in the United States, as you can see, we're still fighting some inflation problems. Remember, we're supposed to get a target of 2.0. What about in the UK? Okay, the UK is higher than the United States in inflation. But as you can see, the UK has done a much better job, like kind of pushing it down, and without it having that flare up. Okay? Where you can see the United States, we did a good job pushing it down, but we did have that flare up. Flare up. Let me take a quick swig here. Coconut Monkey says, hey Klaus, historically when the Fed starts cutting, it's because the damage is done and they went too hard and a crash almost always falls. What are the odds the Feds can time it right this time? Coconut Monkey, really, really good question. Here's the issue. With the Fed, you're going to have several different ripple effects that take time. We talked about this a couple times on the channel. People buying cars, you buy them every couple years, right? If you're buying a car now, you're paying a lot more than you did 2 years ago. When it comes to buying homes, and housing is what's the most out of control right now, shelter costs in the United States, along with the UK, shelter costs are out of the, it's crazy. The United States and the UK are pretty much identical in terms of like how their shelter is just way overpriced. You don't buy a house every couple years. You buy a house every 5, every 10, every 15. You know what I mean? So rates might change by then. So with housing being this like big problem, it's going to take some time to fix the housing issue. So you're going to have some high numbers where maybe other things are going to cool down, like food will cool down, energy costs, fuel, stuff like that. But housing is going to stay high for a while. And if housing stays high for a while, that puts more pressure on the Fed to leave rates higher for longer, saying, hey, look, if we can absorb it in food, but we're still waiting on housing, let's keep it higher on housing to hopefully suppress it. There we go. Oh my gosh, Final Kens is in the house, everyone. Oh my gosh, Final Ken's actually able to make it to a live stream. Final Ken's, just to let you know, I've got my Twitter account up and ready. We can do something with it. Let me know if anyone here wants to have some fun. By the way, changed up my profile on the old YouTube and Twitter action here. I kind of went with the Klaus Pepe action. I went with a little bit of Pepe. Yeah, buddy, that's what we're doing. Federal Reserve keeps the rates the same. Watch your guru coming in saying what we've been talking about. Mucho thank you. Let's give that a good quote. Saying, yeah, buddy. We live streaming now. Oh, yeah. Let's do that. We live streaming now. We'll take that and we'll just post it on out there and don't tag it. Who really gives a F word? I will say, though, that as we've started seeing the Fed fund rates kind of peel a little bit where we're not getting the hits anymore, ever since the pauses started, the market has looked better. The floors have definitely looked better as the market has taken this. So, yeah, I mean, this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. So, I don't know. How y'all feeling? I mean, we kind of expected this news to happen. We're going to have Jerome Powell and the Fed come out on the mic here pretty soon in about 25 minutes. Beautiful look at DC. Love you, my gal. I will be visiting you here shortly. Yes, I'm going to plan a trip to DC soon. Brad says, are you seeing my comments YouTube throttling me? No, Brad, I could see it. I don't know if YouTube throttles anything. My feed here looks pretty clean. You guys seem like you have a pretty good constant thing. Hey, Klaus, I featured your live stream on Facebook groups, friends, and fam. Well, thank you. Who's Crypto? 38 cents. Then Moon says Messaleo. Brad, I just saw your K and thanks in there. So, no, I think we're good. I think everyone's stuff should be coming through. Like I said, I don't, I'm not a big person for blocking people or whatnot. I really do believe in free speech. I really do believe that you get smarter by having people around you that don't always agree with you. I really do. And as long as you can respect differences of opinions, I think you become better. I think you become stronger. And so, yeah, no, I don't throttle or anything like that with the comments. Edwin says, how do I donate to your channel? There's a little, it looks like under the chat, there's a little dollar bill thing. You could click on that. Do it through YouTube. It'll show up as a super chat. I'm not sure. This is not sounding weird. I don't know technically how to do it because I haven't donated to my channel. Like myself, I haven't gone through the process. But yeah, MPPDD says, I fully respect my own opinion. Leia is on the floor. She is sleeping. Her and I took a walk earlier today, so she is a little wiped out. Von Argyle says, Klaus, if everyone is thinking the same thing, someone's not thinking. Yeah, I'm with you on this, and that's the whole idea. When is crypto going to get better? Crypto's going to get better when we can start pulling down these official bank rates. This is the Bank of England's rates, okay? So for any of my UK fans out there, if y'all have bought a car or anything like that recently, you know how much more you're paying for that car loan in terms of interest than you were in 2020, 2021. I mean, even back in 2019, the Bank of England's fund rate was at 0.75. So, Brad says, yeah, YouTube not liking if anyone calls out pumper influencers, just promotes crypto geek crap. But the thing, though, guys, with the people like pumping stuff like the going to the moon crap, there's a lot of language barrier stuff that gets exploited. If you ever read the comments on some of the videos, you know that there's a lot of people that are not English first language, right? And what happens is there's a lot of things that are lost in translation. Like this, right? Like, just imagine this. Just imagine I'm like, oh my God, XRP is gonna moon into the ground and it's going to totally melt faces as soon as Brett Garlinghouse gives up all his XRP and flushes it down the toilet. Like, if you were to translate that to, say, someone who, like, only spoke Korean, they would be like, dude, all I heard was XRP and moon. Like, there would be, like, a lot of jokes, a lot of humor, just a lot of daily talk that just is lost in translation. So, like, for instance, when I'm sitting here, you know what I mean? And these things start coming through, right? Like, where these people start getting a lot of these comments, they're really just getting stuck with, like, the clickbait titles and thumbnails and stuff like that. And they rely on visual translation. So, like they could be something like this, right? And you guys know how this works. They go and they're like, okay, guys, this is the chart of XRP. We're right here. Here's what's going to happen. And then we just go to the, like, way high up. Hold on. Let me make this a little bit bigger, okay? So, like, we're sitting out here. Who's Crypto? $5. Thank you very much. Everyone give Who's Crypto a big thank you. Says, here's a test super chat for your Klaus. Keep up the good work. And please shout out to your group, Crypto GB. Yeah, all right. Shout out to Who's Crypto. The group is Crypto GB, Crypto Great Britain. And by the way, look, I've got UK stuff on here. Bank of England rates. UK inflation rates. There we go. But I think a lot of people, like, stuff gets lost in translation, right? They're talking XRP and they're like, oh my gosh, this is the only way we can go up. And you're sitting here going, okay, but, like, I mean, didn't you say that, like, right here? Because right here they were like, oh my god, see this red candle? Wow, we're going up. Like, and people fall for that. And that's kind of messed up, man. Like, that's kind of messed up. Here, I figured out how to do this. Wait, no, yeah, did I do this? Okay, cool. There we go. I think that's really hard. In this, right, like, be honest here. Like, be honest here, right? Like, you and I, we're hanging out. And what would you rather see? Be real with me, okay? Be real with me. All right, let's talk about stuff. What would you rather see? Would you rather watch a video where the dude is like, oh, we're going to the moon? Or would you rather be like, oh, we're going down here? Which one would you rather watch? And that's what I'm saying. Like, so if you're and again, remember, there's a lot of stuff lost in translation. If you're foreign, do you want to read about bad or do you want to read about good? Especially if you have money tied into something. Good. Hopium sells, man. Like, and there's nothing wrong with Hopium selling. Like, Hopium totally freaking sells, dude. You know what I mean? Like, so I get it. I totally get it. Final Ken says, I feel like a trader, Klaus. XLM just doesn't excite me anymore. No, and then that's my point. See, things change. And I think that's why people just really struggle with where I come from with this. Because, you know, y'all have to realize I've been covering this now for 3+ years. Thousands of videos. Like, I've done well over 2,000 videos. Like, well over 2,000 videos. And I've been covering this for a really long time. Yeah, rates stayed the same, FedEx. But, I mean, I've been covering this for how long? And I'm sitting here going, okay, well, where's everything that's been talked about? Where's all the juiciness? Where's all the fun? You know what I mean? Like, so it's kind of messed up because, like, you can go through something. And as you go through it, what your thoughts were in the beginning can change. And that's okay. See, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about not living in an echo chamber. Is that if you live in the echo chamber, you have no idea if you're making the right or wrong decision because you're only hearing one point of view. And when I first got, you know, big into Stellar and covering them, one of the things that I really liked was they were out there to help the and underbanked. Right? And underbanked. That is freaking huge. But now you're talking how many years later? Do you see, like, do you really see like any of their stuff having an impact? I mean, you know, like, it's been how long? Like, and are you really seeing, like, with the billions that have been spent by SDF, are you really seeing that the value of the billions being spent? Just give XLM price, whatever. But I'm talking about, like, the product. And, like, out of Stellar development, with the billions and billions and billions and billions, man, that they spent, are they really getting value for it? If you were in control of that many billions, you think you'd have a better product by now? Plantain Supernova says, I remember the days when you would play drinking games on here. Oh my gosh, so much fun. Oh, we had some bad ones, dude. We had some bad. I'm training though now. Like, so I got to be really good. No, like legit. Like, I got last man standing in like 6 weeks and 3 days, and I'm getting ready. Like, I am getting ready. So no drinking. We're talking training here. Last man standing, 3 weeks or 6 weeks in like 3-ish days. So I think that's something that we have to talk about. We have to talk about that some of this stuff isn't exciting us anymore. And it's not exciting us anymore because you know what happens when we search, right? And we search XRP and, like, here, just put in XRP. I mean, what do you come up with? Okay, well, you don't want to look at that. Like, you get the ZAC XBT. I mean, here we go. 10 years old, it's bridge currency. I mean, that's my point. Like, dude, you've heard it for how many years? And I don't know. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, where's the juice, man? Robert Melvin says, so in 6 weeks, 4 days we can drink. Oh my God, the day after my last man standing, yes, we can have some fun. We'll actually be able to have some fun, Robert Melvin, before that, Rev. Just so you know, dude, we'll be able to do that before because I do a mental training block, a very specific one, and it has to do with frying myself mentally because I want to make sure that I also can perform, not while I'm physically completely just blown out, but mentally completely blown out too. It's a way of training the brain when you go through such harsh situations. So FedEx says MasterCard is working with crypto, making everything Stellar should be doing, and that's my point, man. Is like, we've been doing this. Family hobbies and cards were the good old days. I love the family hobbies and cards thing. I loved it, dude. That was so much fun. But like, it's true. I think that's where a lot of us are getting kind of bummed out. We're like, okay, cool, like. I mean, now what? Like, I don't know, dude. It's weird. It's been so long, and what have we gotten? You know what I mean? Like, am I going to hear more about, like, oh my gosh, utility. Oh my gosh, regs. Dude, like, what do regs have to do with adoption? A product is out there. You can use it or you don't have to. I mean, it's just, I don't know, dude. It's just, stuff gets boring because, I mean, it's just a lot of stuff isn't shaking people the right way. Legit. That's what a lot of this is coming down to. So when people ask, like, what my strategy is, Jeremy asked about that earlier. My strategy is play short term, and you're playing in a super risky pool. As long as you do that, you're good in my book. So I can make short-term plays on the 20 to 30%, take my money, get the F out. I will catch you later. No one ever went broke taking profits. Oh, but bro, you're going to miss out on moon action. Dude, I've been playing for how... I was the guy that said XLM to 10 cents over 2 years ago. Said it while XLM was at 18 cents. I said it's going to 10 and it ain't going to be pretty for a while. I said that over 2 years ago. So instead of holding and wasting my time for 2.5 years... Dude, I've been playing pumps and dumps across the market. Smile on this guy's face. I'd smile more, but like I literally trained before I got on here, so I'm still really like worn out. Klaus, my brother, keep the fire burning. Mo Mass has gotcha. I gotcha, man. Yeah, I mean, and I guess that's just, I don't know. Final Ken's has got a good comment. Final Ken says, I'm not going to lie. I've been using Solana to move my USDC, and I'm just like, yeah, this is the way money should move. That's what I'm saying. I love the utility of a lot of these projects. Love the utility of a lot of them. I just think that the companies, the CEOs, the people, but they're just not good at it. I mean, like if you were a team, right? Like if you were a sports team, all right? Ronald Livingston giving us some fire. Thanks, Ronald Livingston. But if you're a team, and if you're a fan of that team, and you're sitting here for 2-3 years and like, oh, we're rebuilding, guys. Oh, we're rebuilding. Nope, we're rebuilding. Come on, let's just rebuild some more. And you're sitting here in year 3, and they're still like, oh, we're rebuilding. Don't worry. Get a couple more years. We're rebuilding. Now you're at year 5, and you're like, oh, we're rebuilding. You're gonna sit there and go, seriously? Fire the coaches, man. Fire the whole staff. Fire the players. Let's just reboot this bad boy. And that's the thing, and it's okay to feel like that. It's called peeling back the layer of the onion. Toothpick Tony, shout out to you, kind sir, says, unfortunately, XRP is finished. I'm glad I sold and took profits. Ripple has bamboozled us for a long time. I'm telling you, it's about picks and shovels. Fireball93 says, I moved most of my XP and XLM positions to other things. Was hyped on them a few years ago when I first got into crypto, but now I'd rather have most of my investment money in other projects. And that's the thing. So, like, seriously, like I got a lot of fans from the UK. And what about UK football? Give me some Manchester United. Okay. Manchester United. Let's say they suck for 3 years. And I mean suck. Like, no Premier League action. They're almost like relegation. Like, let's just pretend really bad. Because let's not lie. This is relegation pricing. This is legit relegation pricing. This is relegation pricing. That's not good, okay? So you're sitting here for 3 years, and Man U is like selling the fans. Come on, Red, support us. We're gonna turn it. We're gonna turn this. And you're like, dude, you're about to get relegated. Like Bayern München stomps you every time you play them. Like Bayern just destroys it. Deutschland. Yeah. So you're sitting here and you're like, dude, no, get rid of the players, get rid of the coaches, do something, man. Do something here. And that's the thing. And that's the whole point. So for everyone watching now that understands exactly, I love XLM and XRP. I love the tech behind it. I love the crypto space, but it's the players, the coaches around it that I think are just failing miserably. I love my Chicago White Sox baseball. They suck. Dude, I'm watching Fuzzy yesterday, and Fuzzy's like, White Sox don't have a chance, not even going to waste my time talking about them. Dude, that's all I got as a White Sox fan, as I mentioned. I got like 5 seconds. But I'm so much of a fan that I'm like, fire the coach, fire the players, let's rebuild this. I will support you if you make change, but we're not seeing the change. Yes, bring back Fergie Ferg. Yes, Fergie Ferg, come on now. And that's the thing. I mean, this is where you have to ask yourselves, okay? How do you feel about something, and yet at the same time, the performance isn't there? You want change, and you demand change. And I think that's what a lot of us are thinking. We demand change. We do. We demand change, man. Let me get a quick drink. Y'all have been great. Seriously, y'all have been great. This has been a really, really fun stream. Seriously, great questions, great comments. I'm so happy. I'm seriously, thank you. From me to you, thank you. Let me get a quick drink and rest my throat a little bit. Whew. Captain Flatastic says no one is finger suppression. No, Captain Flatastic, that's not right, dude. Listen. Who owns the majority of XRP? Ripple, and then the people that they gave primary to, right? Institutionals, right? Your primaries, right? Those two people own the most XRP, okay? How do they make money? If XRP is worth a lot, if Ripple just sold a primary institution 10 million XRP and they sold it to that institution at 60 cents a piece, and now XRP is sitting here at 51 cents, they've lost money. No, trust me, they want XRP to go up. They don't want you out. They want you in. They want you in. They want you buying more. They want you buying as much as possible. People are going out and the price is going down, not because of manipulation, but because people aren't getting the results they want. Dude. That's the whole thing. So, no, trust me. What does Stellar want? They want XLM to be worth a ton. Why? So that every time they dump more on the market, they get more money for it. No, they don't want you out. Institutions want you in, because when an institution that bought that XRP for 60 cents, they don't make money on it at 51. They make money on it as if you keep buying it, driving the price up. But Ripple is a business in itself. That is where the money is. Not in the coin to create to move their billions. Right, picks and shovels, my guy. That's been my whole point. They figured out a way to screw you over both ways. And the thing is, the people that receive primary, I'm talking about when Ripple dumps to the institutions, they want the price to go up as much as possible. They're the biggest bag holders. So no, trust me. Institutional money is not telling you to stay away. Institutional money wants you to get in. People are just going away because they're tired of this shit. Final Ken says, I'm just happy to be here. Been farming and snowboarding like mad. Rock on, my guy. Rock on. Love it. Love it. Yeah, we got about 7 minutes until Jerome Powell comes up on the mic. Beautiful look at DC. Baby, I love it. Love me some monuments. Love me some Jerome Powell coming up here on the mic soon. And Captain Flatastic, like, dude, I totally get it because it feels like they want to keep you out, but they want the price to go up because, seriously, that's the only way they make money. It's like they just want as much liquidity as possible. Why do you think they're advertising for these products? Why do you think David Schwartz said, XRP has more liquidity than private shares because tradability, liquidity of private shares for XR or for Ripple is not that good. It's not that good. Like, people want money. Like, they want bigger investments. So yeah, it's crazy, man. It's just, I think the narratives out there, they try to spin it every way they can, and that's where the danger comes into play. Man, come on, man. We don't want zoom in on the razor fence around the White House, dude. So I was in DC a couple years ago, and I was in DC during the pandemic, and I was in, like, God, when was I there? I was there February, right around Valentine's Day, right before all the lockdowns happened. And I went downtown DC, and I'll tell you a story, okay? I was in downtown DC, and I was having a lot of fun. Klaus likes to have a lot of fun, okay? And I'm in DC, and I'm having a lot of fun, and going to some of my favorite neighborhoods in DC. You know, you got to know the right places. And I was like, all right, cool. I was like, dude, it was cold. I'm like, feeling kind of warm. So I'm like, all right, I'll just walk to the White House. And dude, National Guard everywhere. There were troops. They had all the barricade posts. I'm sure you've seen them where they've got like the concrete posts that come up. Everything was as erect, as high as possible. Trucks parked sideways in front of entrances. It was like insane. And this was a few weeks before the lockdown started. And I was like, oh my gosh, what the heck was happening? And so I remember I went back to Embassy Row, and I was hanging out in Embassy Row a little bit, and it was a ghost town. Like, Embassy Row was a ghost town. And I don't know if you've ever been to Embassy Row, you can always see there's lots of security. It's like, it's if you know what you're looking for, you'll see it. So I'm hanging out on Embassy Row, and dude, it was a ghost town. Like, it was a ghost town. And normally, like, you see the security. Like, you see it, all right? Dude, there was nothing. I mean, like, it was like, do whatever you want. We don't give a shit. I was, like, everywhere in DC. It was so much fun. And, I mean, like, all the security was guarding all the major installations. So you could just do whatever you want. It was really, really cool. Jeremy Touche says, Klaus for president. I think I'm too honest, man. I think I'm too honest. Coconut Monkey says, Klaus, do you hold any CASPA, and what do you think about it solving the trilemma and possibility of being the fastest proof of work? I don't hold any CASPA, but again, like, what does it matter if you're the fastest proof of work? What does it matter if you have the highest throughput rate if you're not even, like, close to using it? Like, have y'all, like done the math on it? I know this is going to be really jacked up, but if y'all done the math on, like, throughputs and stuff like that, I got a couple minutes here. All right, so here's part of the problem, okay? I'm gonna show y'all something really cool, okay? And we're gonna do this. I'm gonna do this really fast. You ready? We're gonna speed learn. Okay, stellar transactions on the chain, process operations. All right, so they do process operations. You see process operations here in orange, and they are really big numbers. 760 in that quarter alone, million. So, right, tons and tons of process operations. We're at 280 million right here. But the problem is the majority of the operations on Stellar's chain are fraudulent. So what does it matter if you have hundreds of millions, billions of transactions? If you see all these orange dots here, check it out. Every orange dot right here is a fraudulent transaction, something marked as unsafe. So out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 that I've picked randomly on my screen, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 out of the 11 of those are fraudulent, or from an item that was fraudulent. 8 out of 11. All right, let's do the math on that. 8 divided by 11. Okay, so 72% of the transactions in this random screenshot that I loaded up onto here, and I could do this again. Let's reload a whole bunch more. And, okay, here we go. A bunch more. Here's, look at all the oranges. See the oranges? Oranges. All right, let's be nice. Oh, more oranges. See what I mean? Like, it's bad. It's just really bad. So when people are talking about, like, throughput and all that, what does it matter if, like, half of these transactions are fraudulent? Like, are you really worried about throughput when half of your stuff is, like, legit, like, not even, like, real? And then, I mean, like, I don't know, like, I mean, check it out, dude. Look at the oranges. The oranges are fraudulent. I'll hit refresh one more time just so I can be random. Here you go. Orange, orange. Oh, God. Orange, 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 orange. Oh, my God. Okay, that wasn't nice. All right, more orange. Oh, here's, like, you see what I mean? Like, do you really care about throughput when, like, all the stuff that's going through it is fake, man? Like, this is messed up. See, I wear my White Sox hoodie because I'm a Sox fan, and I'll always be a Sox fan. I believe in the team. But if management and the players around it are doing a bad job, I want them gone. That's how much I like my team. So I'm going to do a video about this on Stellar, how we've got some real problems. Because you want to know why Stellar's not going anywhere? Because of the majority of the stuff on the chain is a piece of crap. It's fake. I mean, that's a huge problem. Huge, huge problem. Most of crypto is a scam. Like 99.99999% of crypto is a scam. And like, it just not run by good people. Well, hey, here we go. Jerome Powell, everyone. Let's hang out on the mic with Jerome. Oh, man. Oh, boy. I don't know, everyone. Just kind of one of those things, you know? Yeah, I wish crypto wasn't a scam, and maybe that's where, like, I'm kind of bothered right now. It's like I've been covering this for 3 years, right? I've been covering this for 3 years, and, like, the more we peel back the layers of the onion, the more we see that this is really gross. And I feel bad because I know a lot of you out there have been screwed by these people. You've been screwed by, like, people just, oh, moving trillions. Oh, we're melting faces. Oh, we're booming. Boom. Here's Jerome Powell. He's going to drop a big boom. Boom. Jerome Powell, everyone. I'm listening. I'm going to chat.
Good afternoon. My colleagues and I remain squarely focused on our dual mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. The economy has made good progress toward our dual mandate objectives. Inflation has eased from its highs without a significant increase in unemployment. That's very good news. But inflation is still too high, ongoing progress in bringing it down is not assured, and the path forward is uncertain. I want to assure the American people that we are fully committed to returning inflation to our 2% goal. Restoring price stability is essential to achieve a sustained period of strong labor market conditions that benefit all. Today, the FOMC decided to leave our policy interest rate unchanged and to continue to reduce our securities holdings. Over the past 2 years, we have significantly tightened the stance of monetary policy. Our strong actions have moved our policy rate well into restrictive territory, and we've been seeing the effects on economic activity and inflation. As labor market tightness has eased and progress on inflation has continued, the risks to achieving our employment and inflation goals are moving into better balance. I will have more to say about monetary policy after briefly reviewing economic developments. Recent indicators suggest that economic activity has been expanding at a solid pace. GDP growth in the fourth quarter of last year came in at 3.3%. For 2023 as a whole, GDP expanded at 3.1%, bolstered by strong consumer demand as well as improving supply conditions. Activity in the housing sector was subdued over the past year, largely reflecting high mortgage rates. High interest rates also appear to have been weighing on business fixed investment. The labor market remains tight, but supply and demand conditions continue to come into better balance. Over the past 3 months, payroll job gains averaged 165,000 jobs per month, a pace that is well below that seen a year ago, but still strong. The unemployment rate remains low at 3.7%. Strong job creation has been accompanied by an increase in the supply of workers. The labor force participation rate has moved up on balance over the past year, particularly for individuals aged 25 to 54 years, and immigration has returned to pre-pandemic levels. Nominal wage growth has been easing and job vacancies have declined. Although the jobs to workers gap has narrowed, labor demand still exceeds the supply of available workers. Inflation has eased notably over the past year, but remains above our longer run goal of 2%. Total PCE prices rose 2.6% over the 12 months ending in December. Excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 2.9%. The lower inflation readings over the second half of last year are welcome, but we will need to see continuing evidence to build confidence that inflation is moving down sustainably toward our goal. Longer-term inflation expectations appear to remain well anchored, as reflected in a broad range of surveys of households, businesses, and forecasters, as well as measures from financial markets. The Fed's monetary policy actions are guided by our mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. My colleagues and I are acutely aware that high inflation imposes significant hardship as it erodes purchasing power, especially for those least able to meet the higher costs of essentials like food, housing, and transportation. We're highly attentive to the risks that high inflation poses to both sides of our mandate, and we're strongly committed to returning inflation to our 2% objective. Over the past 2 years, we have raised our policy rate by 5.25 percentage points, and we've decreased our securities holdings by more than $1.3 trillion. Our restrictive stance of monetary policy is putting downward pressure on economic activity and inflation. The committee decided at today's meeting to maintain the target range for the federal funds rate at 5.25 to 5.5%, and to continue the process of significantly reducing our securities holdings. We believe that our policy rate is likely at its peak for this tightening cycle, and that, if the economy evolves broadly as expected, it will likely be appropriate to begin dialing back policy restraint at some point this year. But the economy has surprised forecasters in many ways since the pandemic, and ongoing progress toward our 2% inflation objective is not assured. The economic outlook is uncertain, and we remain highly attentive to inflation risks. We are prepared to maintain the current target range for the federal funds rate for longer, if appropriate. As labor market tightness has eased and progress on inflation has continued, the risks to achieving our employment and inflation goals are moving into better balance. We know that reducing policy restraint too soon or too much could result in a reversal of the progress we've seen on inflation and ultimately require even tighter policy to get inflation back to 2%. At the same time, reducing policy restraint too late or too little could unduly weaken economic activity and employment. In considering any adjustments to the target range for the federal funds rate, the committee will carefully assess the incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. The committee does not expect that it will be appropriate to reduce the target range until it has gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2%. We will continue to make our decisions meeting by meeting. We remain committed to bringing inflation back down to our 2% goal and to keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored. Restoring price stability is essential to set the stage for achieving maximum employment and stable prices over the longer run. To conclude, we understand that our actions affect communities, families, and businesses across the country. Everything we do is in service to our public mission. We at the Fed will do everything we can to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals. Thank you. I look forward to our questions.
Gina Smiley from the New York Times. Thanks for taking our questions. Obviously, in the statement and just in your remarks there, you note that you don't want to cut interest rates without greater confidence that inflation is coming down fully. I wonder, what do you need to see at this point to gain that confidence? And as you make those decisions, how are you weighing recent strong growth in consumer spending data against the sort of solid inflation progress you've been seeing?
Sorry, say that last part again.
How are you weighing the growth data and consumption data, which have been surprisingly strong, against inflation data?
Okay. So what are we looking for to get greater confidence? Let me say that we have confidence. We're looking for greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably down to 2%. Implicitly, we do have confidence and it has been increasing, but we want to get greater confidence. What do we want to see? We want to see more good data. It's not that we're looking for better data. We're looking at continuation of the good data that we've been seeing. And a good example is inflation. So we have 6 months of good inflation data. The question really is, that 6 months of good inflation data, is it sending us a true signal that we are in fact on a path sustainable path down to 2% inflation? That's the question. And the answer will come from some more data that's also good data. It's not that the 6-month data isn't low enough. It is. It's just a question of, can we take that with confidence that we're moving sustainably down to 2%? That's really what we're thinking about. In terms of growth, we've had strong growth. I mean, if you take a step back, we've had strong growth, very strong growth last year, going right into the fourth quarter. And yet we've had a very strong labor market, and we've had inflation coming down. So I think, whereas a year ago we were thinking that we needed to see some softening in economic activity, that hasn't been the case. So I think we look at stronger growth. We don't look at it as a problem. I think at this point we want to see strong growth. We want to see a strong labor market. We're not looking for a weaker labor market. We're looking for inflation to continue to come down as it has been coming down for the last 6 months.
And I'm sorry, if I could just follow up very quickly. When you say that you want to make sure that it's a true signal, is there anything that you're seeing in the data that makes you doubt that it's a true signal at this stage?
No, I think I would say it seems to be the likely case that we will achieve that confidence, but we have to achieve it, and we haven't yet. And so, I mean, it's a good story. We have 6 months of good inflation, but you can, and you know this, you can look behind those numbers and you can see that a lot of it's been coming from goods inflation, for example, and goods inflation running significantly negative. It's a reasonable assumption that over time, goods inflation will flatten out, probably approximate zero. That would mean the services sectors would have to contribute more. So, in other words, what we care about is the aggregate number, not so much the composition, but we just need to see more. That's where we are as a committee. We need to see more evidence that sort of confirms what we think we're seeing and that tells us that we are gives us confidence that we're on a path to a sustainable path down to 2% inflation.
Nick.
Nick Timmeros of the Wall Street Journal. Chair Powell, it seems to me you raised rates rapidly over the last 2 years for 2 reasons. One was the risk of a wage price spiral. 2, there were risks of inflation expectations becoming unanchored. This morning's ECI report for the fourth quarter shows private sector payroll growth running at a sub 4% pace. Inflation expectations are very close to where they were before the inflation emergency of the last 3 years. And given that you appear to have substantially cut off these 2 tail risks, and that you've judged here today current policy is well into restrictive territory, what good reason is there to keep policy rates above 5%? Are you really going to learn more waiting 6 weeks versus 3 months from now that you have avoided those 2 risks?
So, as you know, almost every participant on the committee does believe that it will be appropriate to reduce rates. And for partly for the reasons that you say, you know, we feel like inflation is coming down, growth has been strong, the labor market is strong. What we're trying to do is identify a place where we're really confident about inflation getting back down to 2% so that we can then begin the process of dialing back the restrictive level. So overall, I think people do believe, and as you know, the median participant wrote down 3 rate cuts this year. But I think to get to that place where we feel comfortable starting the process, we need some confirmation that inflation is in fact coming down sustainably to 2%.
If I could ask differently, if you hold rates high as inflation moderates, as it has been, target rates will exceed the prescriptions of the Taylor rule or its variants. What would be the reasoning for holding rates higher than the levels recommended by those rules in the current instance?
Well, look, I think, as you know, we consult a range of Taylor rules and non-Taylor kind of rules. We consult them regularly. They're in our teal book, and they're in all the materials that we look at. But, you know, I don't think we've ever been at a place where we were setting policy by them. And they're, depending on the rule, it will tell you different things. There are many different formulations. Another way to think about it is, implicitly, is so. In theory, of course, real rates go up if holding all else equal as inflation comes down. But that doesn't mean we can mechanically adjust policy as real rates, as inflation comes down. It doesn't mean that at all, because for one thing, we don't know. We look at more than just the Fed funds rate. We look at broadly financial conditions. But in addition, we don't know with great confidence where the neutral rate of interest is at any given time. But that also doesn't mean that we wait around for to see the economy turn down, because that would be too late. So we're really in a risk management mode of managing the risk, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, managing the risk that we move too soon and move too late. And I think to move, which is where almost everyone on the committee is in favor of moving rates down this year. But the timing of that is going to be linked to our gaining confidence that inflation is on a sustainable path down to 2%.
Howard.
Hi, thanks, Chair Powell. I'd like you to key in on the use of the word in the statement that inflation still remains elevated. You've pledged to cut rates before inflation reached 2%. So that implies that there's some sort of intermediate step here on inflation, and that a cut would be consequent with a change in the statement language that inflation remains elevated. What's the step down from there?
Yeah, I don't know that we've worked out the particular statement language and that kind of thing. I would just say, if you look at where 12-month inflation is, and it's still well above. Core is 2.9%, for example, 12 months, which is way down from where it was. Very, very positive development, very fast decline, and the case is likely that it will continue to come down. So that's where it is. But we're wanting to see more data.
So if I could follow up on that, the statement allows that you want greater confidence on inflation falling before you cut, but it doesn't mention the other side of the mandate, a slide in employment. Would a slide in employment also bring you to the point of cutting rates?
Yes. So let me say that we're not looking for that. It's not something we're looking for. But yes, if you think about, in the base case, the economy is performing well, the labor market remains strong. If we saw an unexpected weakening certainly in the labor market, that would certainly weigh on cutting sooner. Absolutely. And if we saw inflation being stickier or higher or those sorts of things, would argue for moving later. In the base case, though, where the economy is healthy and we have ongoing growth, solid growth, we have a strong labor market, we have inflation coming down, that's what people are writing their SEP around. And in that case, what we're saying is, based on that, we think we can and should take advantage of that and be careful as we approach that question of when to begin to dial back restriction.
Claire Jones, Financial Times. Just to circle back to the greater confidence aspect of the statement, there's been a lot of unanimity in recent meetings. I'm just wondering, going forward, when it comes to all needing greater confidence, is the unanimity, or at least consensus among FOMC members, about what the threshold for that greater confidence is? And if not, could you maybe tell us a little bit about the discussion today on, what the variations between FOMC members was on what constitutes enough confidence to cut rates, and also if there was any variation on how quickly that greater confidence threshold could be reached. Thank you.
We're not really at that stage. There was no proposal to cut rates. Some people did talk about their view of the rate path. I would point you to the SEP as good evidence of where people are, although it is one cycle later. So, we're not at a place of really working out those kinds of details because we weren't actively considering moving the federal funds rate down. I will say there is a wide disparity, a healthy disparity of views, and you see that in public statements in the minutes and the transcripts when they're released every 5 years. So we do have a healthy set of differences, and I think that's actually essential for making good policy. We're also able to reach agreement generally because we listen to each other, we compromise, and even though not everybody loves what we do, they're able to, for the most part, able to join in. To me, that's a well-functioning public institution.
Rachel.
Hi, Chair Powell, Rachel Siegel from the Washington Post. Thanks for taking our questions. So over the past few years, there have been all these real-time indicators that helped us gain a sharper understanding of where the economy was, like open table data or office attendance. You've talked about vacancies in the past. And I'm wondering at the start of this year, what might be on that dashboard for you that's giving you the clearest picture of the economy, including on rents, if you could touch on that.
Including?
Rent costs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so we're not, it's not the pandemic, so we can actually rely on more traditional forms. People are working, they're getting wages, and the economy is largely reopened and is broadly normalizing, as you see. So I wouldn't say we're looking at that sort of more innovative data as much. You point to rents, so of course we follow the components of inflation very carefully, which would be goods inflation. I talked about that a little bit. You mentioned housing inflation, so the question is, when will these lower market rents find their way into measured rents as measured in PCE inflation? And we think that's coming, and we know it's coming. It's just a question of when and how big it'll be. So, but that's in everyone's forecast, I would say. So that will help. But at the same time, we think goods inflation will probably, it's been giving a lot of disinflation to the effort, and probably that declines over time. But it may well have some more time to run. The supply chains are not perfectly back to where they were. In addition, it takes time for the healing process to get into prices. So there may be still a tailwind. We'll find out with that. So we look at the things that relate to our mandate very carefully, and as you would imagine.
I guess just as a quick follow-up, do you feel comfortable at this point saying the economy has reached a soft landing, or is that part of looking for more confidence?
No, I wouldn't say we've achieved that, and I think we have a ways to go. Inflation is still, core inflation is still well above target on a 12-month basis. 12 months is our target. Certainly, I'm encouraged, and we're encouraged by the progress, but we're not declaring victory at all at this point. We think we have a ways to go.
Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You've said that you would know the neutral rate by its works. So I'm wondering what you could tell me. How do you believe the neutral rate is working? We're telling you right now that growth is stronger. In other words, how much is the economy really being restrained right now by the current funds rate? And how much restraint does it really need additionally if inflation is still coming down?
So I think you do see in the interest-sensitive parts of the economy, you do see, for example, housing, you see the effects, you do. Your second question, though, really, I think is important, and that is a lot of this has come through, a lot of the disinflationary process has come through the healing of supply chains and also of the labor market. So you've seen that other set of factors is really different from other cycles and has brought that, working with tighter policy, which has enabled the supply side to recover, I think that mixture has been behind what has enabled this. So no, we really do think that we're having an effect broadly across the economy. I would point to the interest-sensitive parts of the economy as well as spending generally. But it's a joint story. It's a complicated story.
But how much restraint are you actually imparting to the economy, would you say, relative to the neutral rate?
So I think it's of course, that it's not something you can identify with any precision. But a standard approach would be to take the nominal rate, 5.3%, let's say, and subtract a sort of a forward measure of inflation. If you do that, and there are many, many ways to calculate that neutral rate, but that's one I like to do. And you're going to get to something that is materially above mainstream estimates of neutrality, of the neutral rate. You will. But at the same time, you look at the economy and you say, this is an economy that grew 3.1% last year. And you say, what does that tell you about the neutral rate? What's happening, though, is the supply side has been recovering in the middle of this. So that won't go on forever. So a lot of the growth we're seeing it isn't just a tug of war between interest rates and demand. You're getting, more activity because of labor market healing and supply chains healing. So I think the question is, when that peters out, I think the restriction will show up probably more sharply.
Thank you. Sorry. Thanks for taking the question, Mr. Chairman. You mentioned earlier we're not seeking a weaker labor market. I think you said. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Do you think the labor market now is back to quote unquote normal, and that we can achieve the inflation target without wage gains coming back down to what they were pre-pandemic. Even with today's ECI levels, they were still above those pre-pandemic levels.
I think the labor market, by many measures, is at or nearing normal, but not totally back to normal. And you pointed to one or more of them. So I think, job openings are not quite back to where they were. Wage increases, rather, are not quite back to where they would need to be in the longer run. I would look at it this way, though. The economy is broadly normalizing, and so is the labor market. And that process will probably take some time. So wage setting is something that happens, it's probably will take a couple of years to get all the way back. And that's okay. That's okay. But we do see, you saw today's ECI reading, the evidence is that that wage increases are still at a healthy level, very healthy level, but they're gradually moving back to levels that would be more associated, given assumptions about productivity, are more typically associated with 2% inflation. It's an ongoing process, a healthy one, and I think we're moving in the right direction.
So that process can continue without a weakening of the labor market, basically, you're saying?
Well, I think the labor market is, I don't know if it's rebalancing. Clearly, there was a fairly severe imbalance between demand for workers and supply at the beginning of the pandemic. So we lost several million workers at the beginning of the pandemic from people dropping out of the labor force. And then when the economy reopened, you remember 2021, you had a severe labor shortage, and it was everywhere. Panic on the part of businesses, couldn't find people. So what's happened is we expected the labor market to come back quickly, and it didn't. And 2022 was a disappointing year. And, we were kind of thinking, well, maybe we won't get it back. And then 2023, we did, as you know. So labor force participation came back strongly in 23, and so did immigration. Immigration came to a halt during the pandemic. So those two forces have significantly lowered the temperature in the labor market to where it's still a very strong labor market. It's still a good labor market for wages and for finding a job, but it's getting back into balance. And that's what we want to see. And one great way to look at that is what's happening with wage increases. And you see it now across the major things that we track. It isn't every quarter, but overall, there's a clear trend, still at high levels, but back down to what would be consistent with where we were before the pandemic and with 2% inflation.
Chris.
Hi, Chris Rugaber at Associated Press. Thank you. I wanted to follow up on Rich's question. It sounded like you suggested that you're not worried about faster growth so much. So wanted to see if you're seeing anything that suggests that inflation could reaccelerate from here. And it sounds like you're saying you're not worried that solid growth from here on out poses any risk to inflation. Thank you.
No, I think that is a risk, the risk that inflation would reaccelerate. I think the greater risk is that it would stabilize at a level meaningfully above 2%. That's to me more likely. Of course, if inflation were to surprise by moving back up, we would have to respond to that, and that would be a surprise at this point. But I have to tell you, that's why we keep our options open here, and why we're not rushing. So I think both of those are risks, but I think the more likely risk is the one that I mentioned, which is you've had 6 good months, very good months, but what's really going to shake out here? When we look back, what will we see? Will inflation have dipped and then come back up? Are the last 6 months flattered by factors that are one-off factors that won't repeat themselves? We don't think so. We don't. That's not what we think. But that's the question we are asking. We have to ask, and we want to get comfort on that.
And just one quick follow-up. Governor Waller had mentioned the revisions that are coming on February 9th for the CPI data. Is that something you're watching as well? And if we see those revisions fairly minor, is that going to give you more confidence where things are going?
We'll just have to see. Yeah, we'll look at those. Last year was a surprise.
Michael McKee, Bloomberg Radio and Television. If you don't want to use the term soft landing, would you say at least that from your point of view now, the other scenario of a hard landing caused by the Fed is off the table, or the risks have diminished very much? And you mentioned below 2% inflation on a 3-month basis, core PCE's been running at 1.5%. And there are those on Wall Street who think that if you maintain the level of restriction you have right now, you could end up with inflation running below your target. How do you see that?
So your first question, how to describe where we are. So I guess I would just say this. Executive summary would be that growth is solid to strong over the course of last year. The labor market, 3.7% unemployment, indicates that the labor market is strong. We've had just about 2 years now of unemployment under 4%. That hasn't happened in 50 years, so it's a good labor market. And we've seen inflation come down. We've talked about that. So we've got 6 months of good inflation data and an expectation that there's more to come. So this is a good situation, let's be honest. This is a good economy. But what's the outlook? That's looking in the review. The outlook, we do expect growth to moderate. Of course, we have expected it for some time, and it hasn't happened. But we do expect that it will moderate as supply chain and labor market normalization runs its course. The labor market is rebalancing, as I mentioned. Job creation has slowed. The base of job growth has narrowed. And of course, 12-month inflation is above target and getting down closer to target. It's not guaranteed, but we do seem to be getting on track for that. So those are the risks and questions we have to answer. But overall, this is a pretty good picture. It is a good picture. Your second question was, sorry.
Could you get inflation that is below target, end up with inflation below target, and you have to do something about that?
So the thing is, we're not looking for inflation to tap the 2% base once. We're looking for it to settle out over time at 2%. And the same thing is true. If we have a month or two of lower, and we have that now, of inflation that's annualized at a lower level, that wouldn't be good. We're not looking to have inflation anchor below 2%. We're looking to have it anchor at 2%. So if we do face those circumstances, then we'll have to deal with that. I think as of now, the question, we want to take advantage of this situation and finish the job on inflation while keeping the labor market strong.
Edward.
Edward Lawrence from Fox Business. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for taking this. So as I've heard from some district Fed presidents, is it, in your view, a little premature to think that rate cuts are right around the corner? And then when we do see that first rate cut, should we interpret that as the beginning of a rate cut cycle, or is it a one-off?
So I'll point to that language on your first question. We included that language in the statement to signal clearly that with strong growth, strong labor market, inflation coming down, the committee intends to move carefully as we consider when to begin to dial back the restrictive stance that we have in place. So if you take that to the current context, we're going to be data dependent. We're going to be looking at this meeting by meeting. Based on the meeting today, I would tell you that I don't think it's likely that the committee will reach a level of confidence by the time of the March meeting to identify March as the time to do that, but that's to be seen. So I wouldn't call, when you ask me about in the near term, right, I'm hearing that as March. I would say I don't think it's probably not the most likely case or what we would call the base case. Then your second question is?
Is this the start of when we see a cut, is it the start of a cutting cycle, or could it just be a one-off?
That's going to depend on the data. The whole thing is, this is going to depend on the data. We're going to be looking at the economic data as it affects the outlook and the balance of risks, and we're going to make our decisions based on that. And it could wind up, we'll have another SEP at the March meeting, and people will write down what they think. But in the end, it's really going to depend on how the economy evolves. We talked about there are risks that would cause us to go slower. For example, stronger inflation, more persistent inflation. There are risks that would cause us to, or if they happened, that would cause us to go faster and sooner, and that would be a weakening in the labor market, or for that matter, very, very persuasive lower inflation. Those are the kinds of things. So we're just going to be reacting to the data. That's really the only way we can do this.
Victoria.
Hi, Victoria Guido with Politico. Could you talk a little bit more about productivity growth? You've mentioned multiple times about, the level of wage growth that's consistent with 2% inflation. We've obviously seen, you were talking about ECI this morning, in which it's cooled a little bit, but still sort of above what you wanted to see. Growth has been very strong. How much of those numbers do you attribute to productivity, and do you see that productivity as sort of just temporary because of the factors, the labor and supply chain factors you were talking about, or do you think that productivity growth will fade over time?
So this is a really interesting question, and I think my own view is, I think if you look back to the pandemic, you saw a spike in productivity as workers were laid off and activity didn't decline as fast. And then you saw a deep trough of productivity. And then over the last, you saw high productivity last year in 23. I think we're basically in the throes of getting through the pandemic economy. And the question will be, what is it that has changed? The productivity tends to be based on, fundamental aspects of our economy. Is there a case, will it be the case that we come out of this more productive, more on a sustained basis? And I don't know. What would it take? It would take, people talk about AI, but my guess is that we may shake out and be back where we were, because I'm not sure I see work from home doesn't seem like it's a big productivity increaser. AI, artificial intelligence, generative may be, but probably not in the short run, probably maybe in the longer run. So I'm not seeing why it would, but right now, I would say the productivity is kind of what falls out of the broader forces that are driving people in and out of the labor force and activity returning and supply chains getting fixed.
Right, so would that be behind why we've seen such strong growth, but we've also seen inflation fall, that maybe there's just a higher level of productivity
That's
right
one
now?
way to look at it, yeah.
Nancy.
Hi, Chair Powell. Nancy Marshall-Genzer with Marketplace. I want to ask a little bit more about housing. I'm wondering, how closely are you watching rent and housing prices as you evaluate whether and when to cut rates? And it seems like housing prices are not coming down as quickly as you expected.
So when we think about, our statutory goals are maximum employment and price stability, and that's what we're targeting. We're not targeting housing price inflation, the cost of housing, or any of those things. Those are very important things for people's lives, but they're not, those are not the things we're targeting. We're also well aware that when we cut rates at the beginning of the pandemic, for example, the housing industry was helped more than any other industry. And when we raise rates, the housing industry can be hurt because it's a very interest-sensitive sector. On top of that, we have longer run problems with the availability of housing. We have a built-up set of cities, and people are moving further and further out. So there hasn't been enough housing built, and these are not things that we have any tools to address. But where it comes into play very specifically in our work is inflation, which is a combination. It's really rental inflation. You're taking owner's equivalent rent and then actual rent paid by tenants, and you're running that through the CPI calculation or the PCE calculation, the one we look at. And what that's telling you is that market rents are increasing at a much lower rate or even being flat, and that will show up in inflation over time. It has to, as long as that remains the case. So.
And just real quick, what is your response to the letter that was sent to you by some members of Congress asking the Fed to lower interest rates to make housing more affordable?
My response is what I started with, which is that our job, the job Congress has given us, is price stability and maximum employment. Price stability is absolutely essential for people's lives, most importantly, not most importantly, mostly for people at the lower end of the income spectrum who are living at the edges, at the margins. And so for someone like that, high inflation, in the necessities of life, right away you're in trouble. Whereas even middle-class people have some scope to absorb higher costs. So we have to it's our job, it's what society has asked us to do, is to get inflation down. And the tools that we use to do it are interest rates. So that's how we think about that.
Courtney.
Courtney Brown from Axios. Can you give us some insight into whether the committee discussed the possibility of slowing balance sheet runoff in the months ahead?
Yes. So I would start by saying that balance sheet runoff so far has gone very well. And as the process has continued, we're getting to that time where questions are beginning to come into greater focus about the pace of runoff and all that. So at this meeting, we did have some discussion of the balance sheet, and we're planning to begin in-depth discussions of balance sheet issues at our next meeting in March. So those questions are all coming into scope now, and we're focusing on them. But we're at the beginning of that process, I would say.
Quick follow-up, is it the case that the Fed would decide to lower rates and make adjustments to the balance sheet runoff in tandem?
Yes, we do. We see those as independent tools, and so they don't. For example, if you're normalizing policy, you might be reducing rates but continuing to run off the balance sheet. In both cases, that's normalization. But from a strict monetary policy standpoint, you could say we're loosening and one with tightening. So that could happen. It's not something we're planning or thinking about, but right now we're thinking about getting to a place where we're going to see the balance sheet runoff to continue. We're watching it carefully, and as I said, we'll be looking into that as a committee starting in March.
Thanks.
Simon Urbanovich with The Economist. Thank you, Chair Powell. You've mentioned 6 good months of inflation data, but that not being enough to build up confidence. Based on your previous response that your base case is you probably wouldn't start easing yet in March, the implication is that 8 good months might not be enough either. Roughly how many months do you think you might need of good inflation data to be confident?
Yeah, I'm not in a position to put a number on it. I'm just going to say, it's not that we don't have any confidence. We have growing confidence, but not to the point where we feel like it's a highly consequential decision to start the process of dialing back on restriction, and we want to get that right. And we feel like the strong economy, strong labor market, inflation coming down, it gives us the ability to do that. We think that's the best way we can serve the public, because ultimately we've made a lot of progress on inflation. We just want to make sure that we do get the job done in a sustainable way. That's how we're thinking about it. In terms of when that'll be, that'll all come out of our communications, and we won't keep that a secret.
Hi, Chair Powell. Evan Reiser with M&I Market News. Can you explain a little bit more on what you're considering when tapering QT? Do you need to see the overnight reverse repo facility all the way down to 0, or is it something that you can start with a couple $100 billion there?
Not a decision that we've made, but I wouldn't think we wouldn't be taking a position that it's got to go to 0. I mean, if it were to stabilize at a different level, but that's not a decision that we've made. That's what we'll be talking about at the March meeting. A whole range of issues will be briefed up, and the committee will get into all of the issues that will be arising over the course of the next, let's say, year or so.
Greg.
Thanks, Greg Robb from MarketWatch. Chair Powell, I want to change gears a little bit. In the presidential primary campaign that's been going on for the last 9 months or so, your name has come up often, and many Republican candidates had said that they probably wouldn't want to give you a 3rd term. So I wanted to give you a chance to talk about that. Do you want another term? You've had on the Fed. What's your stance on that?
I don't have a stance on that. It's not something I'm focused on. Focused on doing our jobs. This year is going to be a highly consequential year for the Fed and for monetary policy, and we're, all of us, very buckled down, focused on doing our jobs.
Jennifer.
Thank you, Chair Powell. Jennifer Schonberger with Yahoo Finance. As you mentioned, core PCE has been running at 1.9% over the past 6 months, and you guys are actually expecting core inflation higher this year at 2.4% compared to that 6-month measure. Given that forecast and that the median is for 3 rate cuts this year, what happens if inflation stays where it's been over the last 6 months for the next 6 months?
So we'll update our inflation forecasts at the next meeting. You referred to the December meeting. That's 3 months old, so it might be lower now given the data we've gotten. So look, as I mentioned, we're going to be reacting to the data. If we get very strong inflation data and it kicks back up, then we'll go slower or later or both. If we got really good inflation data soon, that would matter for both that would tell us that we could go sooner and perhaps go faster. So we're just going to be, but of course we'll weigh that with all the other factors. We're setting policy based on the totality of the data.
But just to follow, if inflation stays where it is currently, that would probably mean that the real interest rate becomes more restrictive. Would that mean you'd have to trim more, perhaps, than you already have factored in?
Well, I think if we came to the view that that the 6-month inflation numbers, which are very close to 2, were in PCE world, if we thought that is really where we're going to be, then yes, our policy would be in a different place. It would. But that's the whole point, is we're trying to get comfortable and gain confidence that inflation is on a sustainable path down to 2% or toward 2%.
Daniel.
Hi, Chair Powell. Daniel Davis, Agence France-Presse. I just wondered if I could get your comment on the recent consumer confidence data. It seems to suggest that consumers are sort of moving towards a much more optimistic view of the economy. I just wonder, is it fair to say that they're moving towards where the Fed appears to have been in recent months? And do you think that inflation and falling inflation perhaps has played a role in that? And what challenges do you see going forward? Thank you.
Yeah, so it's been interesting that confidence surveys have been weak at a time when unemployment has been low, very low, historically low for a couple of years. But nonetheless, that's been the case, and we've asked ourselves why that is. And one obvious answer, we don't pretend to have perfect wisdom on this, but one obvious answer is that the price level is high. So prices went up much more than 2% per year for a couple of years, and people are going to the store and they're paying much more for the basics of life than they were 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and they're not happy about it. And it's fine that inflation's coming down, but the prices they're paying are still high. So that is what that has to be some part of why people are unhappy, and they're right to be unhappy. This is why we need to keep price stability. It's why we need to do our jobs, is so that people don't have to deal with things like this. In terms of you're right. In recent surveys, you've seen a couple of significant increases in consumer confidence or happiness with the economy. I guess that's a good thing. That can support spending, can support economic activity. There's some evidence of that. But it is a fact that we have seen a meaningful increase. I think levels of confidence are still maybe not as high as they've been at various times, but they certainly have come up.
Thank you for taking our questions. Brian Menace, CNN Business. Committee members have said they'd like to meet with business leaders and stakeholders in person to learn more about the economy in real time, given that some data are subject to large revisions, the issue of seasonal adjustments being thrown off balance, and many readings of the economy being quarterly. So did any members say they've learned anything not yet reflected in the data, or have you yourself learned anything through anecdotal evidence that hasn't been captured in the data yet?
Well, yes. I'm a big believer that yes. So we do meet with outside groups who come from all different parts of the economy, and I always feel like I spent most of my life in the private sector looking at individual management teams, and then building out from that. And so starting with GDP data and working into what's actually affecting people's lives is challenging. It's very hard. So I really like anecdotal data. In addition, as you know, the 12 reserve banks have really the best network of anyone. That in all their districts, they're talking to not just the business community, but the educational, medical, all nonprofit community. They have arms into all of that, and so when they come back, that's what goes into the beige book. But they come back, and what each reserve bank president does is, during the Outlook go-around, they'll say, in my district, and they'll talk about 100 conversations. They won't talk up. They will give you input based on 100 conversations that they've had with people of all different walks, and I personally find it very helpful in understanding what's going on. And also, I think you hear things before they show up in the data sometimes.
Did any of them notice slowing economy based on what they've heard from their district?
Yes, I mean, if you look back at the last, not this beige book, but the one before, it was more, there was a lot of slower activity. I think that what you're hearing now is things are picking up a bit. You're hearing, not in every district and not every person that we talk to, but you're overall, it feels like you're hearing things picking up at the margin. So that's what comes through.
Let's go to Jeff Cox for the last question.
Thank you, sir. Jeff Cox from CNBC.com. Just kind of looking to put it all together. You talked about basically the economy looking strong with 3.3% annualized growth in the fourth quarter. Does the strength of the economy speak more loudly to you now than any inflation threat might? That you're in a position, in other words, to keep rates elevated as long as the economy stays strong, and you're more tilted towards that. And then also, perhaps, are you worried at all that the economy is maybe a little too strong right now and that inflation could come back at some point?
I'm not so worried about that. It's, again, we've had inflation come down without a slow economy and without, important increases in unemployment, and there's no reason why we should want to get in the way of that process if it's going to continue. So I think declining inflation, continued declines in inflation, are really the main thing we're looking at. Of course, we want the labor market to remain strong, too. We don't have a growth mandate. We've got a maximum employment mandate and a price stability mandate, and those are the two things we look at. Growth only matters to the extent it influences our achievement of those two mandates. Thank you very much.
No, Jerome, thank you very, very much. Gosh. Oh, market, my gosh, my God. All right, so we talked about quite a few things here in the chat. We talked about price action on the screen. Doesn't look too good, does it? I mean, yeah, that doesn't look good. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying, girlfriend? This definitely don't look good right now. Yeah, I mean, rates are going to be high for longer. It's honestly, it's all going to come down to what contract they start changing the stuff on. Is it going to be March's contract? It was going to be May's contract. We're all going to have to just chill out and wait and see. TUSD is depegged, and I did a video about this. The algorithms really don't do much with it because no one really gives much of a crap about this. But there is about up to $16 billion worth of crypto assets tied to TUSD. Yes, the market cap is only, I think it's like 1.6, yeah, like 1.5 billion. The redemptions are getting worse. You can see people are just redeeming the ever-living shit out of it. But it's depegged, and it's tied to about $16 billion worth of effective fiat in the crypto market. So a lot of stuff here we have to pay attention to. TUSD being one of them. Jeffrey Howell says XRP is dead. I mean, come on now. We're at like 2 years. Like, dude, 2 years ago things were rolling, and now people are like, oh, come on, we're going to make it. And you're just like, dude, keep selling the same thing. And so in the top, right, look at the pinned comment, okay? What does the top say? Remind me about supply chain. Supply chain is something that they fixed, okay? They fixed the supply chain. They're fixing it, right? So my thing is like, why can't we start fixing some of these problems in crypto? Why can't we get some better players in crypto doing more things with crypto? I mean, market's not happy, you know? I mean, it's just, it's crazy. It's just, it's not a good thing. And I guess what really bums me out is, you know, you fire up the old Twitter like we're doing here, and, you know, you're going to find, oh, let's go, yeah, let's go, quarter in review, let's go, we're on fire. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, that's all you hear about, but then you look at the heat map and you're like, dude, is this melting faces? Hold on. You guys want to see melting faces? Jeff 1. Jeff 1. Let's put in Jeff 1. I'm gonna show you guys melting faces. Where is Jeff? Jeff. We want Jeff. You guys know what Jeff is, right? Melting faces. Oh, melting faces. Ah, melting faces. Prices are melting faces. Like, how long is the narrative of prices melting faces going to last? I mean, like, for real. Come on now. Come on now. Melting faces. Melting faces. Oh, gosh. Yeah. So basically what happened was this. Jerome Powell's like, look, we're going to keep rates higher for longer. Housing, we still need to fix. I've been saying it time and time and time again. Until housing gets fixed, the Fed is in some deep, deep trouble. The Fed is going to have to keep rates high until housing comes back down. So what's going to happen, though, is you're going to see a lot more people run into liquidity problems because credit and availability to credit itself is going to become or stay highly expensive. And the amount of credit that is out there is going to really start drying up more and more. And the availability of that credit is just going to be there. So you've got some really, really big problems coming up. Because if credit facilities are like not really like too, like anxious to give out money, then banks are going to start tightening things up. When banks start tightening things up, the economy slows down a little bit. I mean, things that are having liquidity issues now are going to have a lot more liquidity issues in the next 6 months. Because, okay, even if the Fed, dials it back, right? Even if the Fed dials it back a quarter point, your Fed fund rate is still 500 to 525. That's still, really, really high. And so, I guess it's just so crazy. It is. We got a lot of crap that we got to deal with, So, I don't know. I mean, monetarily speaking, we got a ways to go. UK's got a ways to go. We still got a ways to go here in the States. Rates are going to stay high for long. Crypto, which is needs cheap money to keep it going, right? Because it's a risky asset class. Crypto is just going to get squeezed even longer. Why? Because the Fed fund rates are going to stay high. And so what you're going to see is when you start zooming out here, you're going to see that this is going to reflect the Fed fund rate more and more. More and more, this is going to reflect that fund rate. So, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Thank you, Syrian Marshall. Syrian Marshall says, the sane captain. Oh my gosh, we're melting faces. Ooh, I like this one. You guys know about Jeff, right? Yeah, buddy. Come on now. I know I got some Jeff fans in the house. Oh, yeah, and we're going to send money to Ukraine. That's right. I forgot about that. Let's send billions more to the Ukraine. F it, right, everyone? So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. The economic conditions are messed up, and as long as housing stays crazy expensive, and as long as housing isn't readily available, you're going to have a very disjointed market. Crypto bros can have a lot of zeros in their crypto portfolio, but they're not going to have a house to live in at this rate. And the world needs some balancing, and some of that balancing is housing needs to really get turned around. We need more availability of units, and we also need rates to get to become a little bit more favorable. So, I don't know, man. It's just kind of jacked up because, you're just kind of along for the ride, and with housing being the way it is, I mean, it's just something we just got to take a bite out of. So, I don't know. I just cash is king, man. If you've got cash and you're building up cash, you are going to be so ready. Because everything right now that's happening is just draining liquidity. There's less liquidity in the market now. Are you guys hold on. DeFi Law. Are you guys big liquidity fans? Let me see. Here we go. All right. See, look at TVL. I mean, the TVL just isn't there. Right? That's kind of an issue. I mean, we're kind of getting there. I mean, kind of. When you pick some of your favorites out there, here, this goes to show you. Tell me the stellar TVL doesn't reflect the Fed fund rate. As money became more expensive, there was less TVL locked up on Stellar. It's just the way the nature of the beast is, man. Oh, bro, oh my God, they're going to be, trillions are going to flow. Oh, trillions, oh, melting faces. No, there's just no money, man. Calculon says, watching the ship sink in slow motion. Yeah, it's not like a rug pull. It's like a super slow rug pull. And I mean, that's the thing. You can trace this movement of money to Fed fund rate. USDC's APY of 5.1. Yeah, That's not insane, Jeff. I've seen some crazy ones out there. I'm still seeing some 15, 18%ers hanging out there, Jeff. So, I mean, 5.1 just seems very soft. Jeremy, thank you very much. Everyone give Jeremy a big thank you for that. Yeah, hit the like button and please share. It's, you know, and that's the kind of thing I want people to just understand, like, yeah, is it easy to report good news right here in 2022 when TVL is like 60 million? Yeah. But, like, I'm not going to lie and tell you we're going to melt faces. Look, no one's putting money into the chains. Like, we have basically just been sideways for money on the chain for 2 years, man. 2 years. So, Jeffrey, it's with USDT. I don't think you want to play in that playground, but it's a USDT thing. So, I mean, like, that's kind of what gets me here. And so you can check this out, right? Like with TVL and all that stuff. And Jeremy, thank you again. Very, very heavily appreciated, sir. I think that's where, like, you know, but bro, wait, when regs come, people are going to put more money in. Well, bro, regs weren't here in 2022 and they had 60 million. And then people were like, yo, we don't like what they're building. We don't like the products. We're getting out. So no, bro, this is not about regs. TVL was massive in 2022. What was also big in 2022? We didn't have any inflation worries. 2022 wasn't nearly as bad. Fed fund rate wasn't up there just yet. But bro, when regs come, what money was here before regs? Money was here in 2022. So now what's the difference? What's the difference? So I struggle with this because everyone's that's talking about trillions are flowing. What the fuck are you talking about? We're having trouble breaking 22 million and you want trillions to flow? Trillions of maybe pesos? Trillions of maybe BS? Or maybe, no, trillions of pre-World War II German marks. How about that? That's really funny, Klaus. For all my history fans out there, that was really funny. So, like, where are these trillions coming from? Dude, we're not even in the hundreds of millions. And they're talking about trillions flowing? We're talking about melting faces? No, don't fall for the narrative, man. Don't fall for the narrative. It's bothersome. It is so bothersome. The message that's being painted out there and all you got to do is just look at the stats. That's all you got to do. People put a whole bunch of money on the Stellar chain when the Ripple news happened, and guess, look what they did. They pulled it out just as fast. Check it out, girlfriend. Yeah, that's right. They pumped it, and then they dumped it. They pumped it, and then they dumped it. Look how long the TVL lasted. July 21st is when the pump started. And it was done by the 23rd. 2 days later, gone. Now, how do I sell that as positive? Oh, well, guys, it was awesome. We hit 66 million in TVL. Yeah, to only lose it all, like, the next day. Like, how do you turn this into positive? How do you turn this into trillions are flowing? Like, this is the full chart of TVL, man. No one's playing in it anymore. And what really bugs me about this, and everyone's like, oh, bro, oh, they're using it. Oh, my gosh, adoption. Look, I just randomly clicked on the screen. Look at how many of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of 11 of them again. 80-something%. 80-something% of the transactions on this stream. Look at all these orange ones right here are all from illicit or unsafely reported products. Bunch more orange dots. See all these little oranges right here? All those little orange warnings? Yeah. That's not good. And this is just me randomly clicking on different streams of transactions here. I just hit refresh again. Oh, more orange bad stuff. More orange bad stuff. More orange. More. Dude, the whole chain is just scam garbage. TVL is pulled. Why do you think TVL is pulled out? Because the builders, the venture capitalists, the people that supply money to devs and stuff, they're like, yo, this is a joke. I mean, I don't know. How do you spin this as positive? How do you seriously, how do you look in yourself in the mirror at the end of the day saying trillions are going to flow, boom, we're going to melt faces, and we don't even have 22 million locked up in TVL? For real, girlfriend, come on now. Trillions are going to flow? What are you talking about? Trillions of pre-World War II Deutschmarks. Maybe some shillings back in the 1980s when I was in Austria. Maybe some francs, some Swiss francs back in the day. But dude, come on now. And what, we're supposed to sit here and somehow magically think that the boom of crypto, right? This boom right here all had to do with money being cheap and people playing risky in the pool. Venture capitalists were dumping money in the pool. Everyone was dumping money in the pool. And this is when the Fed fund rates were cheap. And as the Fed fund rates went up, crypto went down. Why? Because risky gambling like crypto is poop, poop, poop. It's expensive, man. It is so expensive. Oh, all right. Here we go. Here we go. We're gonna do this. We're gonna end the stream here in about 5 minutes. I still got quite a bit to do today. So if you got any last minute questions, comments, now is the time to do it because the stream will be ending in about 5 minutes. 5 minutes. In 5 minutes. I don't know, man. It's just messed up, dude. Really is. It's just like I don't get it. Like look at, I mean, just like look, I could just keep hitting refresh and refreshing transaction streams, and every orange dot is a scam. Scam. Oh my god. Holy poopy, look at them all. That's a lot. Look at all of it. I mean, like poopy. Like, come on, man. Like, I don't know. In the meantime, we're just adding to the circulating supply, 28 billion, and what do we got to show for it, man? Oh, dude, I don't get it. I mean, we're melting faces, yet there's no TVL. The TVL pump that we did have, guess what, everyone? They pumped it and they dumped it. Look, this is the Ripple news. Look at it. Plain as day. Went from 30.8 million, pumped it up to 66.5, dumped it back down to 24 a day later. Ooh, juicy goodiness. Girlfriend, no, they pumped it and lost it. Oh, man. Trick says, catch you later, Klaus, I'm off to bake. Rock on, Trick. Have a good one, kind sir. I got to do a quick stretch, and then I got to do a recovery run and a lift session, so I'm with you on that. I'm going to have to do a little bit of recovery here soon. Oh, man. I don't know, y'all. Yeah, Robert Melvin, have a beer for me, please, because, like, I'm not drinking because I'm really heavy into training. I mean, it just... Dude, it's a joke. I mean, this is like a joke. And what do we... Like, trillions are going to flow. No one's even putting any TVL in the system. Devs aren't getting paid. Do you know I get messages from devs on Twitter telling me that they're not getting paid and they don't know what to do because they feel like if they stop working, they'll have, like, no chance of getting any money? These are devs reaching out to me. Like, that's not cool, man. Like, that is not cool. But we're melting faces, right? Yeah, please, hook me up with an Eddie. I would appreciate that as well. Yeah, there's no money, man. They're faking the funk. They're faking the funk, dude. Oh, don't worry, bro. We got Aqua Airdrop. Oh, baby. Aqua Airdrop, right? That's going to save the ecosystem. Aqua Airdrop. Let's see what the chart looks like. Oh, that's not a good chart. Because it's really big right here, and then it goes to nothing. That's not good. They can't even fix it on their screen. It's so bad. That's horrible. That is horrible. I mean... Whatever, guys. I don't know, man. I don't know. Here you go. Here you go. Here's the pride. Here's the pride. Let's look. Oh, does that look like a pump and dump to you? A rug? I mean, come on now. This is their one of their biggest projects on the chain, and this is supposed to help liquidity of the Stellar chain. They touted this. You know how many people invested in here and are now getting destroyed? Do you realize, honestly, how many people got destroyed here? Oh, man. But trillions are going to flow. Yeah. Trillions are going to flow. Come on now. Come on now, everyone. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, play some tunes. Say goodbye to y'all in the chat. Make sure you guys and gals say goodbye to each other. I'll catch you cool cats later.
Whip up my ass.